remember, you're not just your body, but you're your mind as well. So be careful you don't do this. And you kind of leave like I would get, you're still up in a big space. So I'm looking out, taking everything in. My body's doing its thing, but I'm not a slave to doing my thing. You understand? That's why I would say everything from here up, super relaxed. No tension on your shoulder, no grimacing face, just you're doing your thing. Okay?
Question before, just so I don't forget. And I love this personal practice and individual and feeling it.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that with teaching and having a consistent template for younger vets?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And that's the only, I have to say, that's the only time I argue with Saotome Sensei. He said, it was that day, it was the no more form day, which he said to me over and over again, no more form, no more form. I said, but Sensei, and I was going to say exactly the same thing, everybody, but my argument was, everyone needs a gateway in. Everyone needs to learn this in order to get to that feeling, right? And I said, but Sensei, and he just said, shut up! And I was like, ugh. And it was the only time, I have to say, that we had a moment like that. And I just stepped away from him at that moment. I was just like, well, I respect you, but. And as I was walking away, it was in a room full of people and everyone stopped. Everyone was looking at what was happening because it was he and I interacting in this way. And I was walking away and he said, you have a problem. He said to me, you have a problem. And I'm walking away from him. And then he said, it was great. He said, you know why I know you have a problem? Because I have the same problem. And then we got back and we discussed having a template to go in.
Do you remember when we first met years ago?
You are changing.
Thank you, Sensei.
You are more sharp. Because you know. You're learning the martial, how to be. No style the karate. So overall. This is a very important thing. Before, first time you thought it's so stiff. Kata, 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 kata.
I think that you do have to teach to some degree by the numbers in the beginning. You have to tell people, yeah, you want your knee over the inside edge of that big knuckle, 60% of your weight, 40% of your weight. But I would sort of encourage them to kind of understand the movement sort of experientially. Like, what am I experiencing? You know, I'm kind of known as the woo-woo feeling teacher. People say he's a feeling teacher. Well, I will tell you, that has been my guide through my whole practice, is what am I experiencing? And that might even be a function of sort of the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain and which one you're sort of living in. I think partly my kinship with Saotome Sensei is we're both very right hemispheric people. You know, he, like drawing a box around saying this is karate and this is aikido and this is love and this is hate, this is not in his vernacular at all. It's just stuff. It's all interacting. It's just an experiential occurrence. So I would try to get people to sort of attune and wake up to what their body. My sense is that running a dojo, and I did it for many years. I opened up my dojo in 1976, but I've never been a parent. But the thing is, you want to create martial artists or individuals or whatever you want to call it that have the capacity to be off on their own. You know, they don't want to be married to a construct. They want to ultimately let go of that and find their own connection.
How about like the Kanagara no Michi?
Kanagara no Michi is a very principle. The martial arts. Coming to God. Not a matter this only this way.
Right. Everything.
Only this way.
Everything. Right. Like the Great Spirit manifest in everything.
I studied and I also said, the Aikido is no style.
Right.
Principle. IT.
Right.
One day he and I were talking in the alley behind the dojo, and I surreptitiously put the camera down here. And I asked him about the quality of genius. What is genius? Because I'm very intrigued with this idea. And he said something like, not necessarily clever individual, but someone who has the connection.
You are basically martial art genius. Martial art genius. The conscious. No attachment to style.
Right.
All respect the reason.
Right.
Why are you changing up? Why this?
Right.
This is it.
So maybe genius is just connecting to the everything.
Yes.
That's the essence of genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only martial art is one principle. People that are one,
Hello.
only it's one. How to be.
How to
That's
be.
it. How to be, no style.
Right.
When you stand in ready stance and you feel this sort of attunement, that is the connection you're looking for. It's not just a physical phenomenon; it's a metaphysical phenomenon. Are you following that? I know that's a little bit out there, but I was at Sensei's ranch one time, and he had this thing that he had constructed out of pine branches. Oh, it was all interwoven and tied together with raw hide. It was the most amazing looking thing. And then there was one piece that went way out like that. And obviously a lot of thought went into that thing. And I said, Sensei, he's intended to God. That's what he said. Now that sounds pretty out there, but I know when there's an attunement that you can make. There's a I'm worried about my life way of going about things, and then there's a attunement way of going about things. Do you understand? And so this is why I say what we do is an educational system. It's not just how to get out of a rear naked choke. It's a way of bringing our humanity to the most robust state it can be.
Always learning.
Yeah. Because the student has a lot of problems. It's good to say.
Yeah.
If they are watching, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, this is more the same. You know, all information.
Yeah.
You must be innovation,
Innovation.
not just the styles of karate. You know,
Yeah.
real martial arts concept.
Right.
When it's attempting, that's fine. Also sometimes
Right.
Aikido, karate, or
No boundaries.
mix it. So more wide.
Right.
And then I personally try to think of sort of little metaphors to pull me further into that space. Like my life depends on that. Like if that's my last movement before I expire, how can I put my everything on that? So I don't, it's just another episode of my kata. No, it's ichigo ichigi, one life, one moment. And I think you have to habituate to that. You can't just conjure that feeling up all the time. Through training, you engage more. You engage to the point where that becomes second nature. So the Ritsure isn't this anymore. The Ritsure is a heartfelt. If I bow to this guy, or I bow to this guy, or I bow to my student, or bow to the dojo, they're all different. There's a different connection, right? Because my connection to the dojo isn't the same as my connection to him. The problem is we go through these movements and I think we ignore the context in which we're practicing. The context is everything. That's the paradigm that you're viewing your practice is what really dictates what your experience is going to be. And that's why I said the other day, the quality of questions you ask yourself internally is what's really driving your practice.
This is never teaching style.
Right.
principle.
Mm-hmm.
Saotome, what kind of style you believe in?
Mm-hmm.
Saotome style. Yeah. 1,000,000,000 different style,
Yeah.
different person believe,
Everybody unique. Mm-hmm.
only individual.
Mm-hmm.